Alrighty everyone, so given that it's already, the middle of February, we're getting very close to Mando Season 3 on March 1st, and it's really going to be quite a ride because Pedro Pascal just the other day teased that this is going to hold a lot more surprises than what Mando Season 2 had, stating that if you felt very shocked with the Season 2 exclusive by John and Dave, then you're going to be very ready for what's about to come in Season 3. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now that brings us to Star Wars movies. Now, one thing that a lot of fans have wanted for years now. Now, some fans may say the opposite, sure, that they would rather stick to shows and stick to streaming and specifically have more character development through multi-season shows out there. And I can understand that, I can. But there's no denying the fact that Star Wars started in the theaters, and I believe that it should remain in the theaters. And that's exactly what now Disney CEO Bob Iger is restructuring with and is trying to really rethink his overall strategy. This has been an ongoing thing throughout the past couple of months now, especially after Disney lost 2 million subscribers from Disney Plus so far in 2023 in their new report. Now, the thing about that too is that Bob Iger has been talking quite a bit about their overall structure for the company, how they're going to figure things out by really kind of building the company back up from the ground and really kind of giving it this brand new treatment that is really going to kind of respect the different franchise in a different light. Unfortunately, when it comes to that process, it does take a very long time. It takes a lot of time and effort. However, with that being said, with Disney CEO Bob Iger getting ready to make some important earnings call announcements throughout this entire year, he recently was able to tease and hint more plans and ambitions for the future of the franchise. In a recent interview, Bob Iger went on to state the following to the fandom. Looking back at what we did with the sequels and how we transitioned to television via streaming, we are now planning to completely rethink our strategy and especially with the Star Wars brand. We are setting our goals on how to bring this franchise back to the cinema and how we can reinstate the episodic format again. Something that we know holds true value to the fans that grew up with these films that surrounded the Skywalkers. It's now in our best interest to please the fans in whatever way possible that we can find, and we are thankful to have creators like John and Dave guiding us on all of that. Now let me stop right here for a second. Now, we already know that behind closed doors they are working on episodes 10, 11, and 12 in the very early stages, guys. Let's be very clear about this. They're not planning on production until at least 2026, with a new film not likely to come out until 28 or 29 at the latest. Now, everything here related to Disney CEO Bob Iger, putting it out there, teasing it out there, that they want to go back to movies, they want to go back to the episodic formats. This all matches directly up with what we've been talking about, what is happening behind closed doors over at Disney between himself, the board, as well as some creators like John and Dave. And the thing about this too is that we know that George Lucas always wanted to actually go up to episode 12 for the Star Wars franchise and end it there for good. And that's basically now Disney's new plan, to stop the Skywalker Saga once and for all, at least on the big screen or in the form of a movie, at an episode 12. That's where they absolutely want to stop at. Now that's actually a good way of thinking because you can't really outstretch it too much, then it becomes a little crazy when you have Skywalker after Skywalker after Skywalker. I can understand that. But episodes 10 through 12, they already have a very basic idea of where they want to go. We've already talked about this, of how it's going to center on Skywalker cousins, and basically one of which being a descendant of both Rey and Ben, the other of which being a descendant of Luke Skywalker. And it's going to be interesting because It's going to actually take a lot of inspiration from Star Wars Legacy comics, and the character of Cade Skywalker being implanted in there as well. That's about all the notes that they are going through so far to actually kind of make 10 through 12, but I digress. Moving on, he goes on to say, "We know that fans feel this franchise belongs on the big screen and want the trilogy format to return, and it's a conversation that we have every single day that has been going very well the past couple of weeks. To bring back the episodic format means to bring back the iconic pieces that George created. For all of us, that is exclusive to the episodic films. And it would be a shame if we had to let that go, and we are trying our best to not break free of that. We have many creators on our end working at notes on how we can make this all possible in the long run story, and of course, story-wise and on the business spectrum as well. We only want what is best for the fans right now." Now, I don't know about you guys, but my 2 cents, Bob Iger is very, very much driven by damage control and desperation, but that does not necessarily mean that these projects will fail. I always like to say this, guys. Whenever a company or a production studio or anybody, anything in the world, or any company or person, when they go through a phase of desperation, I believe it's when the job or the work that they go through gets done the most and the best, because they know what's at stake, and they try extra hard, and they try hard in a very focused manner. And this is Disney right now. They're basically trying to focus on what the fans want strictly, how to make the fans happy, and they're gathering creators that know how that all works out, like John and Dave. So it's not just like Disney is just saying, let's just pump out these movies. They have John and Dave kind of guiding them on what not to do and what to do, what's too much, what's too little, what should be in between, all of that. And so that is basically Bob Iger's plan right now, to kind of restructure the overall plan of how Star Wars is going to really kind of propel itself into the future. Now, that's not to say that they're going to be getting rid of TV shows and streaming and the like. They want to actually have both movies and TV shows at the same exact time, much like Marvel. They want to bring it to that Marvel status. And that's going to take time, guys, because let's face it, Star Wars needs a lot of fixing to do, to say the least, in order to convince fans that Star Wars is back in action. And I've said this many times, it needs to have multiple consistent successful shows in a row by John and Dave strictly, or any other creator that's like John and Dave, to convince fans that yes, it's back, and it's back on a consistency. So with that being said too, we know that Bob Iger, we already talked about this, the Disney board is trying to get him out by 2024, and I think that's also a big part about this, on why he wants to go back to making the movies again, and why he wants to now respect the fans. He's trying to create a name for himself. He's trying to pretty much gain the trust of the fandom of the Star Wars franchise, and a lot more than that than we already know. So obviously there is a lot of change coming our way, and I think that you're going to see that throughout this entire year. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below, fill me in what you guys have to say about all of this below, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.